GM crypto enthusiasts, welcome to another episode of GM Crypto, your go-to source for everything blockchain, NFTs, and Web3. I'm your co-host, the Daredevil, Jared Dillinger, and with me are the lovely voices and brilliant minds, John Sedano and Buenaventura. Woo woo! Man, sometimes I have a hard time saying that, but you guys, we have a packed show lined up for you viewers tuning in. We are diving deep into the latest twists and turns in the crypto universe, dissecting the stories that are shaping the market right now, but providing you with the insights, our insights, that you need to stay ahead in the fast-paced crypto world. So, let's dive in, shall we? What's up, boys?
Oh
GM.
man, what is up? What is down?
GM.
Bitcoin price is down.
As you
What's
can
trading sideways?
well, yeah, we love that. I just downed 2 energy drinks, so I'm a little pumped up, as you can tell.
You need to give those energy drinks to the Bitcoin price too. I think.
Yeah,
right.
we have to log Jared out of his Binance.
His
and
trading account.
Yes, it's happening.
Yeah, everything. So how's it been this week for you guys?
I mean, I'm just rolling with it. I think when you and I were talking before the show, you were saying that you felt like the Bitcoin price drop was kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
So for everyone that's listening, we are recording this towards the end of March, and we have had a not so great week for the price.
Yeah.
We kind of had a very high, kind of all-time high, really. I mean, we were at $73,000 for Bitcoin, first time ever. Everyone was euphoric.
Yep.
And as of right now, we're not there, right? We're at more like 64. So it was like a 10, maybe as high as $12,000 drop from the peak. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of disappointed people, a few frustrated people. One of the things that I always have to remind myself when the Bitcoin price hits a new all-time high is it implies that there is a whole bunch of first-timers, new money that is coming in for the first time. That is kind of one of the reasons why the price goes up, right? It's because people who have never done this before are suddenly kind of coming in. And, if you greet them the next week with a price that has dropped like 15%, right? That scares the living daylights out of them. So anyway, but how have your guys' weeks been?
Welcome. You just got baptized.
Welcome to crypto. So I don't know. How have your guys' week been?
Good. I mean, good, man. Yeah, crazy.
overall.
A little crazy, a little
The usual.
right? Just another crazy world of our interesting lives, if you will. You did make a good point of these new oncomers into the crypto space, and you can just see it play out. The more cycles that you've been in, it's just the same template every time, and it never changes. After so many cycles now, like you would think as a human race, we would figure this out, but no, it's the same every time.
Yeah. I guess with each cycle, more people are starting to figure out the story.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and this is something I have to constantly remind myself of, because like we're surrounded often. I mean, we work in the industry, right? So we're surrounded by other people who understand this stuff. But in reality, like if you got airdropped into some random Sunday birthday party with just regular folks,
Yeah.
That's so
most
true.
people don't understand any of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So it is I have to constantly remind myself that we're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And that's why this stuff to us, it's like, yeah, I've seen this before, or this makes sense. But like, still so many people out there.
That's
like,
facts, yeah.
They are scared. They are so scared to see their very first crypto investment lose 15% overnight. Right?
Yeah, I mean, come to think of it, right? We hit our all-time high.
Yeah.
And just a few days, like maybe it's 7 days after that, and guys, like it's not like we're back down to a 10K BTC.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it was a good reality
It was
check.
expected. Yeah.
It's a good reality check because I mean, you get carried away. Like you think it's never gonna end, and then I mean, it's also just reminding everyone that profit is profit.
Yep.
Make sure that all your funds are safe.
Yep.
Be careful with the links that you click, because when the market's happening or when the pace is happening so fast, like you get to forget all of these stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Since we were talking about the Bitcoin price, I guess I should probably start with my story because my story was literally about the Bitcoin price going down.
Great
anyway.
transition.
Yeah.
What we got?
So, this story is kind of funny because, as you can probably imagine, I do get a lot of questions about why the price is down, right? And because a lot of people, the narrative that they have heard about 2024 is that Bitcoin is now trading in the U.S. stock market for the first time, and therefore there's lots of fresh capital that is buying Bitcoin every day, right? So their question, the primary question on their mind is, why is it going down now then, right? I mean, I thought we were just going to keep going up forever, which of course that's not really how it works. So this story, funnily enough, and this is kind of my response to them, this story starts in 2013. So 11 years ago is kind of when this story starts. And this story actually explains why the price is going down right now, which is kind of funny, right? It was like consequences of decisions we made 10 years ago coming back to bite us in the butt. So about 10 years ago, it was actually 2013, there was a company called Grayscale that was incorporated for the first time. And remember that this was the early days, right? There was no way that a traditional investor could buy Bitcoin, even if they wanted to. There was no mechanism for doing so. They would have to be like basically a crypto punk kind of guy looking for those exchanges and stuff like that. They don't know where any of that stuff is. So Grayscale comes along, and they're about the most legit Wall Street group that you can find. They decide that they're going to create this thing called the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And it's literally just a company that they formed to buy Bitcoin. So what they did was they went to the stock market and said, okay, so we are the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. If you buy shares in our company, we will use all of your dollars to buy Bitcoin. In theory, that gives the traditional investor some exposure to Bitcoin without necessarily buying Bitcoin itself, because the trust buys the Bitcoin, holds it for you, right? And as the price of Bitcoin goes up, the value of the Grayscale shares should theoretically also follow, right? Okay. So it was a super convenient solution. And for a while, they were the only way for the average traditional investor to get any kind of Bitcoin exposure, because they wanted to be able to buy in a real stock exchange. So because it was so good, at one point they had 617,000 Bitcoins in their treasury, which accounts for about 6 or 7% at the time of the entire Bitcoin supply. So these guys were freaking popular, right? Now, okay, so fast forward to January 2024, this year. Grayscale is one of the 11 companies that is approved to now offer Bitcoin ETFs on the US stock market. And just as a quick just to refamiliarize with everyone with how ETFs work, ETFs are basically like they're funds that literally do represent the underlying asset that you're buying. So when you buy a Bitcoin ETF, you are actually a real legit owner of the Bitcoin that is underlying that. But you trade it as just like any other normal stock. So Grayscale comes along and says, hey, we want to also turn our whole trust into one of these ETFs. But unlike all of the other ETFs that were approved, they actually already had Bitcoin in their treasury. They had 617,000 of it. They were sitting on it. So what happens was all of the Grayscale customers who had shares in their company, they all got shares in the Grayscale ETF. And now they go into the US stock market and they're selling the crap out of all of those shares. Right? Because they were already holding on to this Bitcoin from 10 years ago. And you can probably imagine if you had bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, you're in the green by an enormous amount. So you're taking profit, right? You're taking profit all day long. And literally what has been going on over, especially this last week, is that those Grayscale guys are looking at that $73,000 all-time high and they're like, well, I'm out, right? So they're going into the stock market every day and they are just liquidating their shares. And last week, if you total up all of the shares that Grayscale sold, it was something like almost $2 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Must be nice.
Flooding the market, right? And basic supply and demand, right? If there's a lot of supply suddenly, the demand usually can't keep up. So the price is going down. And that's kind of what is going on in the market right now. So I don't know if we actually have the ability to share screens or screenshots or whatever, but maybe we can do it in the edit later. There's a really handy table that I'd like to read every morning called the Bitcoin ETF flow table. And it totals up all of the buying and selling that has happened in the previous day for Bitcoin ETFs in the stock market.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of the day, it will tell you, was it mostly positive, meaning was it mostly people buying Bitcoin, or was it mostly people selling Bitcoin? And if you have one of those two numbers, you can kind of already predict what the Bitcoin price is going to do in that next day. Because, if there was a ton of selling, then it's probably going to continue going down, right? And last week, this was the week of March 18. So March 18 to March 22. That was the first time that every single day, every single morning that I woke up, it was in the red. Meaning everyone was just selling the crap out of this stuff, right? So every day I was like, yep, I guess we're going to see another down day.
Yeah.
And it did that 5 days in a row. And the thing that I am super impressed by is the fact that we've only lost about 10-15% from the all-time high. That implies that even if there were so many people selling, there's still enough kind of support, right? So this is like trading jargon now. There's enough market support that is not making the price drop all the way down to, as you said, something really low, $40,000 or something ridiculous like that. We're still in the 60s, which is pretty good, right? We opened this year, and this is the part that, a lot of people need to remember. We opened this year in the 40s.
Yeah.
So the fact that we are still up 50% from the start of this year, after having gone through all of this stuff, is really impressive.
Yeah.
But again, I guess it bears some explanation. And this whole explainer was really for the first timers or the newbies who are looking at this price and they're going like, oh my God, did I just time this wrong somehow?
Yep.
And the timing could have been better, but honestly, we're in really good shape still. Even after this chart that's showing 5 days of nonstop selling, we're in pretty good shape still, and I'm still optimistic about it. So, that's my story.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Who would have thought years and years ago, and just something like that just has this big snowball effect, and it affects everyone else. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
If we fast forward to now, it's so interesting because you made a good point that if we just put this in perspective and look at the beginning of the year to now, we're not doing so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have this effect of in the crypto market of what have you done for me now, not what have you done for me lately.
Right.
And we're always looking at what's going on in front of our face, but geez, man, 10-15%, that's a victory, in most people's eyes. So as much as the market is down, people need to have, hope and just look forward to, better days are ahead. For sure.
For sure. Oh yeah. And I'm super optimistic because the thing is, Grayscale has basically now sold nearly half of its entire inventory.
Wow.
From the 600,000.
Yeah. So they're selling down all the time, right? So they're whittling it down slowly. The fact that the market is absorbing it and we're still at this price is really good news. Yeah. Because honestly, if you told anyone, I'm about to sell down nearly 6% of the global Bitcoin supply, that's panic, right?
Yeah.
That would cause panic. But the price is strong. So
I'm super curious, right? Because let's say for those guys who have been holding on to their Bitcoins back in 2013, and now they're taking profit, right? So what do you do with that money? I mean, aside from buy a house, buy a Lambo, and all of that stuff. Because me personally, right, if I'm if I'm in the green and I pinch off a bit of my profits, I usually just put it into a different token.
Meme coins.
Yeah, right. I mean, so what does it really look like, right? Yeah. Do these profits, flow back into maybe on Ethereum? Do they go into Solana? How does that affect the whole industry in general, right?
I can only speak for myself here, so I don't really know what the other people are doing. But I do have some Bitcoin from 2014 and 2015, so I'm in that, that group of people that have been holding for a really long time. I forget who the economist was who said this, but if you study what people who have some money do, it doesn't often matter how they made the money. Eventually, they all end up investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're a tech millionaire, if you're a sports celebrity, you always end up buying land. And the reason for that, I think, is because land is the only other thing that is provably scarce in this world. Like, we're not going to get any more land unless we colonize Mars, and that could be many years away, right? So, and I guess that's so that's my long answer to, that's kind of what I'm planning to do. So we've got, this small farmhouse in Cavite that we're starting to, build.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do the whole sustainable off-grid living kind of thing,
for
right?
you.
Solar, and then, deep well, and then I guess you're gonna beam your internet down from the Starlink, right? You just Starlink.
Doomsday is coming. It looks like.
Yeah.
So maybe you're building a bunker next.
Yeah.
Right underneath the farm.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm lining up right behind you, bro. That's so cool. I'm piggybacking off of you. We're planning to get a farm, and our idea is exactly like yours.
Yeah.
My family, when I say they,
Yeah.
we want to diversify. We want to put it in other markets such as the real estate. We want a farm away from everyone because we're just so used to being around people all the time. But I think that's, like you said, that's the smart way to go about it. You got to diverse. And I think I didn't look at it until you said it that way, Luis, about we have this planet and it's like a big NFT and you can only be fractionalized so much.
Yep, it's a
right?
lot of
There's
fun.
only so many that we can take up. So that was a good analogy. I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah. If you think about it, so the whole unique selling point, the thing that makes Bitcoin worth investing in, is the fact that it's provably scarce.
Yeah.
Mathematically. So
almost
if you were
exactly
going
like
to liquidate your
planet
Bitcoin
Earth.
profit, you don't want to move it into something that is less scarce than Bitcoin because that's a downgrade, right?
Gotcha.
And that's why I think real estate is basically the path, right? I will be very, very specific about this though, because just in case anyone is actually listening to this and thinking about investment advice, I don't believe that condos and apartments fall into this category. I think it needs to be land. And the difference is that if you look at the contracts of your average condominium here in the Philippines, there's a clawback where they can take it back from you after about 50 years.
Yeah.
Because the quality of the building, they believe is not going to be worth it anyway. So, so Ayala Corp or whoever owns the land, they'll take it back, they'll rebuild a new one, but you lose ownership of it over time.
So basically, it's just a long-term lease.
It's a very long-term lease. But if you're that sort of person who's thinking, well, I want to leave this for my kid or whatever, then it's actually a limited time frame that they would be able to enjoy it. But of course, if you're trying to get started, I think, sure, yeah, buy your place if you can, right? If you're living in a condo in a CBD, I think there's other reasons why you'd want to do that other than a super long-term investment. It could just be because, hey, I want to be able to customize my space and I want to be close to work, which is fine. That's a completely valid thing to do. But yeah.
So that's a really good point, Luis, when you mentioned, right? So right now, technically, Bitcoin is the only limited, cryptocurrency. So what I'm getting is that it's not like all the other, metaverse lands or planet sales or all those, gamified NFT drops, right? Because technically, these projects can just keep, printing or issuing new plots and all of that stuff.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think that a lot of we can use the ones we know, Decentraland or Sandbox or these guys, right? I think that in order for them to maintain the value that they want for their virtual land, they kind of have to make sure that it's scarce. They can't just keep making new plots. If they do that, then they devalue everything else that has been sold in the past. So I think they're aware of it. I think the reason why I say that I prefer Bitcoin when it comes to stuff like this is just because it's proven that it can be scarce. and it's had like over a decade to prove that. So I think that I'm willing to be convinced by all of these other projects too. I just need to see a little bit longer time in the game, right? So that we can just really evaluate whether or not they really are scarce.
Interesting. Pretty good points. So I think maybe up next, we're gonna be jumping in. Can I go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Something super interesting, right? Because now that we've already kind of experienced what can happen during a bull market, all these pullbacks. So what are the other perks? What are the other activities that go on? And one of the most talked about very recently, especially for those who are coming into the space just now, are the airdrops.
Yep.
So it's been crazy. We've been seeing airdrops right and left. But for those, trying to, get into this space for the first time through airdrops, so what exactly are these airdrops and how do they work?
Yeah.
So reading off here my notes. So an airdrop is essentially a marketing strategy where new projects distribute their project's own crypto tokens for free to participants in their ecosystem. So basically, it's their way of rewarding people who contribute to the project, right? And you can think of it as it's literally an airdrop. It's a surprise gift in your wallet for doing some action. So I've noted like 3 of the most common airdrops. So first is the standard airdrop. So this is open to everyone, and it's just often just very minimal effort. So maybe you just have to sign up. You have to like a page, stuff like that. And for, just being on that whitelist, quote unquote, of a project, then you get an airdrop, right? And then the second one is bounty airdrop. So this requires a bit more of, there's a lot more tasks to it. So maybe it's sharing tweets or being active on social media, or maybe even for content creators, right? If you submit a video talking about the project. So those are bounty airdrops. And the third is holder airdrops. So holder airdrops, it's mostly for rewarding loyalty. So if you hold a certain amount of, let's say, a specific NFT in your wallet, or maybe you have tokens of this project, then during a snapshot, it was basically they set a day in time, and all those guys who were holding those assets beforehand are technically eligible for that freebie. So a good example here is very recently, Yield Guild Games (YGG) just did their airdrop when they announced them entering or joining or partnering with the Ronin network. So I mean, technically it makes sense, right? Because these guys have been working together since the beginning through Axie Infinity, and now YGG's building on quests, super quests, and basically its on-chain reputation. So now it's gonna be easier. Like if you have your token, on the same wallet, maybe on the same decks on Katana. So it's just a lot smoother. There's not a lot of bridging in and out, and all the activity can be done within Ronin. And the way they did it was they did a snapshot. YGG did a snapshot, and actually, so they tiered it. So it's a combination of a standard airdrop and also a holder airdrop. So if you were holding, if you were staking Ronin tokens in the YGG validator before a certain time, then you would have been airdrop YGG tokens.
Yeah.
But if you were holding or if you were staking more tokens for a longer time back in the past, then you get a booster.
Right.
So halfway through, you get a 10%, and if you're an OG staker, you get a 20% booster.
Yeah.
So it's rewarding those guys helping validate the Ronin network, and also helping build YGG. But also those who have been building for a longer time get a bonus. So maybe my question for you guys is, how do you personally find legitimate airdrops?
So I wasn't sure. I didn't realize that was the question you were going to ask. I didn't have a good answer for it. Honestly, I look back on every airdrop I've ever received, and I think it was all just luck. It was all just projects that I actually believed in that happened to also
Have an
give an
airdrop,
airdrop.
yeah.
So I'll give you some examples from a couple of years back. I think this might have been my most lucrative airdrop ever. There's this platform called ENS. So these are the guys who do
yeah, that was
if
a
you
great
wanted to get Sedano.eth, right? So you get that short name kind of linked to your Ethereum wallet. I had so many of those because I wanted to be able to just name the wallets for the various things I wanted to do, right? So I have a personal one for myself, but I also had one for my guild and another one for whatever, right? So I had 3 of them that were active,
Wow.
and then ENS did their airdrop.
Yeah.
And I got the token, and I tallied it up, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is like $15,000 worth of
Yeah.
airdrop, right?"
And that was for one account, right? For one ENS.
Yeah. And like anyway, so it was the down payment for my Ranger. That was kind of what I did. And it wasn't because I was farming airdrops.
Right.
It was because I genuinely thought that ENS was useful. It was, no one wants to remember that long ass Ethereum address.
Facts.
And so it made sense to me. With the YGG airdrop that you were talking about, the Ronin network needed validators. YGG was one of those validators. I was a believer in YGG, so I delegated my tokens to them. And that's basically how, proof of stake works, right? So what happened was that I'd been doing that since 2023, like early 2023. And now they had an airdrop for people who had been doing it for a while, right? And like, I wasn't doing it because I was farming. I was doing it because I wanted to support the stuff that I believe in. So by the way, this is probably the reason why I don't get more airdrops than I should. It's because I'm not really actively farming them.
Right.
I'm only really doing the stuff that I personally want to support, right? But to be fair, I've gotten that one, the YGG one, and the Pixel one. I also got that one.
Yeah, the Pixel one.
That was another Ronin airdrop from recently, and those are my only 2 of this year. But both of them are pretty lucrative.
The ENS one was solid.
Yeah,
that was a
crazy.
great one. I still remember that one.
Yeah.
I think, to piggyback off you, Luis, it is luck, being in the right place, or maybe it's the right alpha chat. Like for my situation, I was in the ENS just because I was just trying to name a wallet or 2 or 3, and it was great, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of fell on your lap. I think some ways to go about finding airdrops is being a holder of certain NFTs. Like I was a holder of Cyberkongs or Mutant Apes, and so you get access to a bunch of high status people telling you, "Hey, this one's coming out."
Yeah.
Like so for Cyberkongs, I remember Blur when they came out with their airdrop, and I just didn't know that was going to happen unless I was in that chat and they told me about it. So it's a bunch of different components, believing in these companies or these tokens that they feel has some legs. Also, just being in the right place, the right time, because there are a lot sometimes, and you don't know which one you want to invest your time with or try to farm. You're not sure. But so just like in anything in the crypto space, you do have to have a little luck.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really good point, right? So what I've taken from that is it's also, the people that you hang out with, right? So if, they're also in the right groups, then you most likely will also get that information that they have. Maybe a follow-up question for you guys is, the way I see it, right, is like from Luis's example, this one more of struck me as like a rewards program or like a loyalty program.
Sure.
Right? So unknowingly, they never announced it.
Yeah.
But since you were with us since the beginning, or like you used our services, now here's a bonus.
Yep.
So maybe for that situation, so how does it really work for the project in terms of growth? Like, what do they get out of it aside from giving away free money?
Well, I mean, a lot of the time it's, as you said earlier, it's kind of a marketing subsidy, right? I mean, in a way, right? Because look, I mean, the fact that we're now here talking about these projects, it's because primarily they did those airdrops. It's the same thing with ENS. Like when they did that airdrop, suddenly everyone in the space became intimately familiar with .eth, right? Because now it's a thing because they gave so much money to so many people. And I think that if you look at it that way, where airdrops, you can kind of think about airdrops like it is a marketing campaign, then the money starts to make a little bit more sense because, yeah, ultimately, the goal is for them to make themselves more visible to as many people as possible. They are willing to pay for that to a certain extent. Of course, the price of each token that gets airdropped, the market itself determines that, right? But like the way that the crypto markets think about price is always, if more people know about a thing, then that thing has a higher chance of going up in value.
Absolutely.
Right? It's all about visibility for us. And so we get into these funny situations where you would think, like, if you're wearing your old economics hat, if people are just getting free airdrops, you always assume, well, the price is going to drop, right? Because like everyone is just getting freebies. But every example that we've just made, those token prices went up. Right? Even so the YGG price is up right now. It's $1. It was like 65 cents when they did the airdrop. Pixels is like 80 cents right now. It was 50 cents when they did the airdrop. So
when in Jupiter as well.
yeah. So the you would think that everyone getting freebies would make the price drop, but that's not the case, it turns out.
I think from the standpoint of these companies putting out the airdrops, I think obviously there's a timing component with this.
Right.
They want to put it out at a time when the market's up. I think if the market was down and they drop these airdrops on people, maybe we're in a different story.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because from the other side, right? The other way of doing it is you announce an airdrop, then you basically ask them to like use your platform or do some actions or share on social media. This is a different strategy from just hoping that the airdrop markets itself. Like now you're gonna be it's almost user acquisition.
Yes.
Right? Versus brand awareness.
Right.
So yeah, maybe like my question there is like, what do you guys think about like this other strategy of like announcing an airdrop? You have to do this and then help us grow the brand. How do you weigh those if you were to do your own airdrop? Because I'm trying to understand like really the value add for these Web3 projects, right? So how would you do it?
It's tricky, right? Because so there's this entire subsection of the community now that just does airdrop hunting and airdrop farming. So I think that it's kind of dangerous these days for a project to go out there and actually announce that, hey, we're going to do an airdrop. These are the things you need to do. Typically what they do is they try to get people to use their platform and then they announce the airdrop much later and then they take the snapshot. Like they don't do it beforehand because what happens is that the farming community tends to abuse
Loopholes.
these things a little bit,
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what the projects want either. I think that in general, what projects want is loyalty, not just like, I mean, of course, to a certain extent, these airdrops are meant to be incentives, but like they really want people who will stick around, not people who are just like, I'm just here for the airdrop and then I'm out. Right, because then it's wasted money, because you could have just used that for something else. At least I'm thinking more as a platform kind of founder, right? I don't want people who are just gonna be in and out. I want people to stick around and actually use the things that I'm building. So yeah, I feel like the timing of airdrops has changed because if there are these communities that are constantly farming this stuff, you don't want them to abuse it. And that's why you don't announce too early, I think.
Kind of ruins the point of doing
airdrop. Yeah.
I mean, we all know the market is driven by hype, speculation, branding, timing. That's really kind of what makes up a lot of the crypto space. So I think these founders, they know that, and they really have to think of all of these creative, I guess, gimmicks, if you will, to get more eyes and ears onto their platform. Like you were saying, like the biggest thing is that they want people to stay, loyalty, and they want user acquisition, and they want everyone to see it. So what can we do to keep them latched in, playing in our platform and to get a lot of people. I think you're going to have to mix a little bit of hype. Maybe it's not fully the truth. Maybe it's a white lie, if you will. Let's drive up speculation. Let's get people to try to veer off the path so it gets them wondering with uncertainty that something is going to be bigger than what we could imagine. That's what really drives people's imaginations, thinking, oh, it's going to go up higher and higher, and that's how we get euphoric. But I mean, I think it's cool being in the crypto space when you have all those factors in. It gets me excited sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
And I
mean,
think
everyone loves free money too.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Who doesn't love free money? But yeah, as a founder, I think, you got to really carefully plot out,
Right.
How you're going to go about these airdrops. But yeah, man, I can't wait to talk about mine because it goes perfectly into what we were already discussing. So we're talking about, I was ending with speculation, hype, marketing. That's really the spearhead in the crypto space. So we're going to dive down this article about a meme coin from Solana. Solana's known to have all these meme coins popping up.
Yep.
The founder accidentally burns 10 million worth of funds raised from the pre-sale investors. Now, the project is called Slurf, and the meme coin has faced significant challenges after the project's developer accidentally burned a major portion of the token supply, effectively losing 10 million.
Yep.
And he went on X and he wrote that, guys, I effed up. I burned the LP and the tokens that were set aside for the airdrop. Mint authority is already revoked, so I cannot mint them. There is nothing I can do to fix this. I am so effing sorry.
Did you guys listen to the Twitter space that he did?
No, I
He
didn't.
was crying and stuff.
No way. I mean, I'd do anything for $10 million. I mean, I wouldn't just cry, right?
I don't think he ran away with it though, right? I mean, he burned it. Like, he actually burned it.
But so here's my thing. Like, there's a couple things we have to look at. Was this a marketing ploy to get more people to talk about it? Was this not fabricated, but how do you accidentally burn? Like, if you've been in the space for a while now, you're gonna have to go through a set of systems to get that 10 million burned.
Yeah.
So how much of a mistake are you really making? And I think playing on human emotions, you can, throw people off with crying and I'm just speculating. This is just pure speculation.
Sure.
I just always think when there's lots and lots of money involved, bad things are gonna happen.
Yep.
And we could go down any avenue you want of just how to picture something differently than for what it really is.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel about that particular situation, but just in whole? Like, do you think there was something to it, or was it just oh, my bad, I messed up?
Man. Actually, Luis, this kind of reminds me of what you were talking about in the first episode, where with any project you come in with your sus hat. So anything in crypto is supposed to be suspicious first, and then when it gets past that, then it might be a legit project.
Right.
I mean, what's really the difference between burning it and just keeping it for myself? I'll be suspicious here.
Sure.
So I mean, if I have to cry on camera, then I gotta keep the $10 million. I mean, was it really burned? Like, could you see it on the smart contract or on chain? That
To be fair, I didn't go into I didn't actually read through the blockchain transaction, so I don't know how to assess the situation. But yeah, assuming that I'll start with the assumption that he did it by mistake first. And the reason why I'm gonna start that way is because so there's this thing called, I like talking about this a lot. This thing called Hanlon's razor, which is it's this very wise quote. It goes, you should never attribute to malice that which can be explained by stupidity.
Okay.
So, if something bad happens, you shouldn't automatically think that it's because someone was doing something, bad or malicious or whatever. It's also completely possible that they were just being an idiot.
Yeah.
True. True.
And so I like that. I like that.
True.
I like that because it makes me feel better about things like the Philippine government, for
Oh
example.
wow, we took it there. He just took it there.
Yep.
Don't shut us down, you guys.
Once again, Louise woke up today and chose violence.
Chose violence. That's why we love having you here.
All right. Feel free to cut that part out. But but my main thing is I want to be able to just assume that people are still good somewhere deep down,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
they just effed up,
Yeah.
right? Now I can't speak to the slurp thing because I read most of my experience with it. I kind of read secondhand, right? Or people were telling
Yeah,
me about
same,
it
yeah.
afterwards. I wasn't actually experiencing it in real times, and I also did not read through the blockchain transaction, so I don't know. But if I assume that he somehow hit the freaking, there's no burn button, but I guess he must have done something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy because there's just a trail of so many instances where people in the space messed up. Pixelmon. Remember that debacle
Yep.
when that happened? Obviously, FTX.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
the show that these guys put on.
Yeah.
To really make you allude to the fact that they are
Sure.
in fact doing good things and
Sure.
Yeah.
and give us the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
It happens so many times. So after it's fool me once, shame on me, fool me
Yeah.
twice. Or I reversed that actually.
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I think this is a situation. This is just fun to speculate. I think it's all calculated, man. I've been here so long. I'm not buying it, man. 10 million's a lot. I'll cry for 10 million. I will weep for 10 million.
I'd shriek for 10 million.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Easy. Right? Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's theatrical at some point, but then there are also those kinds of situations where it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel it's a lot more logical.
Yep.
Than a lot of all the possible hanky panky that could have gone behind the scenes for a lot of these projects.
Just one last thing about the slurf thing. The price is up, right?
Yeah.
It's been going down now for the
Oh, it's
past
going down now.
for the
Oh,
past
okay.
7 days. But when that did drop, it went up a little bit. That's why
Yeah,
people
yeah.
were suggesting was that a marketing stunt? What happened? Why are people? Why is
It's
it
a very expensive marketing stunt.
It was both a very expensive marketing stunt, and yet at the same time, there's very few things that you could have done in the crypto world that would have garnered you more attention, right?
Yeah.
So in the sense that it's so unique that someone supposedly, right, mistakenly burned that much money. It almost felt to me like he bought that attention with that loss,
marketing?
right?
So he's a genius, maybe.
Again, I don't think the dude he can't both be a genius and also be stupid enough to burn $10 million, right? So it's one of those things, but only one of those things can be true. But it is funny to kind of speculate about it. So you're telling me the process is not doing great?
Yeah,
right now?
not so now. I
okay.
think it's just following the market.
Oh, sure.
So
Yeah,
everything's down.
Yeah.
R-
Well, maybe,
really.
maybe he needs to burn another $10 million.
Yeah, right. To get another marketing stint. Oh man.
That's funny.
Well, shoots, guys. That might be all for that we have today. Thank you for everyone joining us. We had such a great time filling you in on all the latest trends and updates that are happening in our crypto universe. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about, to dissect, to discuss. Until next time, GM Crypto. We'll see you guys later.
Cheers.
Hey guys, what's up? John Sedano here from GM Crypto, and I'd like to congratulate our lucky subscriber for the first episode. His name is Ryan Crisariego 9272. And reading off his comment, he says, "Finally, a new show about Web3, blockchain, and cryptocurrency to tune in every week. Love that is more focused on the stuff here in the PH and Southeast Asia." So congratulations, man. And we will be sending you an NFT of our choice. And everyone else at home, make sure to subscribe and comment down below. You might be the next lucky winner of our weekly NFT giveaways. Cheers. See you guys next time.